Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Black Panther's Agents of Wakanda, issue number 1. There's a lot to talk about with this comic book, and I'm going to try and bring it all down to 5 things about this comic book after we talk about who made the book. Okay, so Jim Zub is the writer, Lan Medina is on art, Marcio Menez on colors, VC's Joe Sabino on letters, George Molina does the cover art, whole bunch of people do the variant covers, and I'm not getting into all those, look them up. Lanil Francis Yu and Sunny Go on the recap art page, and special thanks to Jason Aaron and Mike Del Mundo, probably for creating the Agents of Wakanda. And of course, Black Panther is created by Stan Lee and Jack freaking Kirby, baby. So let's talk about number 1 on this list, and that would be Man Wolf is cool. Well, I mean, duh. Anybody who really knows the character, you're an old school Spider-Man fan, you know that Man Wolf is pretty cool, but he's handled cool in this book also. Now, he's also over in the Absolute Carnage Lethal Protectors issue number 2, which is also out this week, and he's carnageized. I'm willing to just let that go and say that this happens after that book because, well, freaking A, man. Like, I'm hoping he's going to survive. Otherwise, it's just going to be made before the book. Whatever, who cares? The point is, he's handled well in both books. This one is actually him, not his psychothrop carnageized version. And all, like I said, all the characters are handled well in this book. Wasp does a great job handling Man Wolf in this. But I really like the way that they were handled. And yeah, particularly Man Wolf. Whatever. Anyway, let's get talking about number 2 in this book. Callbacks. There are a whole lot of callbacks in this book, specifically to Jim Zub properties. Well, they're not his properties, but you get what I'm saying. We got the Sidera in this. Y'all familiar with the Sidera? These little guys here? Jim Zub wrote the Uncanny Avengers for a while there, and he created these characters called the Sidera, which are basically Siderak's little Juggernaut children minions. Just run around and... Shut up, man. That was funny. These little guys run around. So we find a Sidera, and Jason Strongbow is in this, which I think his name is Jason. Anyway, American Eagle, he's in this. I've got his first appearances in a Marvel 2-in-1. It's freaking awesome, man. And what do you call it? That was back when Ben Grimm was like the man. How cool was Ben Grimm? Basically, Wolverine who? Ben Grimm was it back in the Marvel 2-in-1. First appearance there. Got it. Not going to dig it out, though. It's a lot of books a lot of boxes I got to dig through. But you get my gist, right? You get my gist. So I love the callbacks in this. Definitely fun. I think that it would have been cooler. I'm always a fan of, the editor's notes. Hey, you can find out more about these characters in such and such and such. That's the way that you sell more comic books. Back issues, help out your local comic book store. Maybe somebody can't find it there, so they go online and they find the book instead through legal means. Whatever, man. The idea is I love those stupid little notes inside. They're really helpful. Otherwise, come to people like me. We know what we're talking about, usually. Let's get talking about number 3 in this book. The Kimoyo beads. I love it when you can find a new use for Kimoyo beads. And here we see an explosion, like a self-detonation, that doesn't seem to hurt humans. I read about this in a Peter David novel. That's right, a novel. I have it. Just don't feel like looking for it. And it doesn't seem to be readily... Oh, no, never mind. I've got it right here. Son of a gun. The luck on that one. What Savage Beast? I used to have it on hardcover. Sold it. Made a mistake. Went out and bought it again on paperback. Anyway, waiting for Peter David to sign this for me one of these days. The point is, I'm not going to be able to fit that back in there, am I? Anyway, I'll just do that later. You'll probably hear it fall. The point is, there was some kind of a neutron bomb which destroyed equipment but didn't harm the individuals, which I love that idea. And, of course, why the hell wouldn't Black Panther, of all people, and his team of scientists, including Shuri, make something like that? Yeah, so a little neutron explosion from a Kimoyo bead. Perfect. Let's get talking about number 4 on this list. There is a rotating cast in here. This is fantastic, okay? I'm going to talk about my conversation with Zub before. I've talked about it a couple times before, like a podcast and whatnot, live stream. But Zub is going to have a rotating cast in this book. You get to see a whole bunch of them here. I'm sure it's not everybody, but you get to see that every 2 issues or so, we're going to have a new cast of characters. There's always going to be Black Panther, T'Challa, and General Okoye of the Dora Milaje. But there's also going to be like 2 other characters, minimum, that are going to sign up and be like, hey, let's go in and kick some booty, right? And there are going to be some rather obscure characters. I just mentioned American Eagle, right? How many people know that other than American Eagle Outfitters? Exactly. So I believe this character came first. I believe this character came first. So there's that, and then there's number 5 in this book, and that is the real Cliffhangers. Look, back in the day, and Zub and I talked about this, but also go and check out my interview, my exclusive interview with Jim Shooter. That's what Marvel used to be. Every single issue was a pickup issue. Every single issue was a jumping on point, as it were. There's a new character, a new baddie every week. Maybe you have a return baddie once in a while. But Spider-Man would have to fight somebody new, and the issue was pretty much, for the most part, wrapped up in that issue. So when you picked up next issue, you didn't necessarily need a callback to what happened in the previous issue. You just read the damn thing. And Zub and I talked about that. It's important to have at least one comic book out there that does that. This book will almost do that. Every odd-numbered issue will be a new jumping on point because every story arc consists of 2 issues. So the first issue, jumping on point, and amazing freaking cliffhanger. And yeah, the cliffhanger in this is multiple fronts. And then issue number 2 will continue the climactic battle, and then it will wrap up that storyline. So issue 3 will be a brand new story arc. So that means 3 story arcs per trade paperback, because 6 issues. That pretty much solves every single problem anybody has ever complained about as far as the way that the big comic book companies do with the whole 6 issues to a trade, so try and make a story arc, a whole wraparound right in there. Yeah, that's annoying, because if you only got 3 issues of a story to tell, or 5 issues of a story to tell, you got to kind of stretch it out, don't you? And condense it if it's 7 issues. Sucks, but you don't run into that problem with this book. Guys, Jim Zub sent me an early copy of this, which was cool. He sent it digitally. I went out and bought it anyway because I buy my comics. I like the physical thing anyway. And he might actually be watching this first review. If so, thank you, Zub. Appreciate that. But I do not do this to an audience of 1. You guys know that that's not what I do. So, F you, Zub. Kind of. Yeah, anyway, see you at the next Comic-Con. The point is that, for real talk, guys, this is an amazing comic book. And I'm not just talking about this issue. This is a book deserves to be in your pull list. That's real talk, because anybody who complains about how comic books aren't the way that they used to be, all that changes with this. And seeing this first issue, yeah, 100%. This is exactly what we've been missing. Like the Marvel 2-in-1s, like the Marvel team-ups, like the old Spider-Man comic books, like pretty much all of the comic books back in the day. Sometimes you'd have, like, oh, we're going to split into 2 different things. Or, man, for the most part, Fantastic Four, right? All those books. You have 1 issue, and there you go. Even the introduction to Black Panther was 2 issues to start. You really could have done it with just 1, but then you wouldn't have known who Ulysses Claw is, right? Anyway, love this, and this definitely belongs in your pull lists. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.